Chapter 5. What kind of cheese? We never made it that night. We managed to meet up all right. Marcia was already waiting when I finally got outside. It had taken me longer than I thought to get ready. I kept forgetting things like my Swiss Army penknife, torch, compass, chocolate ration, signalling mirror, Dad's camera, and so on. Then I had to go back inside for bandages and plasters, just in case, and finally I went back for the emergency foil blanket. I'd read somewhere that shiny foil can protect you from some alien weapons. I stuffed everything in my rucksack.
"Where are you going?"
hissed Marcia, staring at the rucksack.
"On a safari?"
You never know what you might need, I explained. I felt a bit embarrassed, but I had to ask her. Are you wearing clean underwear?
None of your business.
We stood there shivering in the shadows, and we were just plucking up enough courage to cross the road when this UFO turned up. Well, I say turned up, but I suppose that sounds as if it came wandering over, like some kid at a party with nobody to talk to. I know how that feels. It sounds silly, but that's how it was. This UFO arrived from nowhere, silently up in the sky, high above the Vaux house. It was the faintly shimmering lights that first caught our attention. They rippled round its edges. In the darkness of the night sky, it was difficult to make out its shape properly, but it appeared to be flat and circular, and there seemed to be a hole in the centre of the base. It stayed in the same place, hovering at high altitude, and it was also strange. The sky was clear and full of stars, like any other night on Earth, and here, bang in the middle of it, was a craft from another world. And then the colours came. They came in transparent waves, like drifts of coloured gauze. Yellow, green and blue radiating out from beneath the craft, spreading and sinking towards the ground, right behind the Vaux house. There was no noise, just the lights, and then they stopped, and the UFO drifted away into the night. I was rooted to the spot. Did you see that?
Fabulous,
said Marcia with a rapturous smile.
How can you say that? I can hardly believe it. I've seen a real UFO.
We have to tell someone. This is getting far too dangerous. We can't handle this by ourselves. We must go to the police. Marcia swung her torch on my face, almost blinding me.
And what do you think they'll do? Chase it with a squad car? Arrest it for parking in midair?
She began to laugh.
This road hasn't even got double yellow lines.
Anyhow, it's gone. We have to do something, I insisted.
Tell your parents then.
Oh, come on. If they know I've been out here all this time at this time of night. Marcia nodded.
I know what you mean. It's funny, isn't it? We could be out here saving the world and all my mum would say would be, never mind the alien invasion. You get back to bed at once. Crazy.
Snap. We gazed at each other for several seconds and then decided, police. We chorused and set off for the police station, running like the wind. Well, I ran like the wind. Marcia ran more like a drunken giraffe. She tripped over her legs at least once on the way. I guess we realised it was a mistake the moment we opened our mouths and said, aliens, to the desk sergeant. He began asking why we were out at that time of night. Did our parents know, etc., etc. I mean, police are just like parents in uniform, really, aren't they? And, what did this UFO look like? Asked the desk sergeant, grinning at all his mates who had turned up to have a laugh at our expense. I struggled for words. It was dark, I began. Yes, a common phenomenon at night time, said the sergeant.
He meant the UFO was dark, scowled Marcia. It was a hazy shape, shadowy.
I nodded. I could almost hear my English teacher hammering on about using similes to explain things more clearly. It was like a giant circular cheese box, I said. You know, the ones with little foil triangles inside. The sergeant clicked his tongue several times and tapped a pencil on the desk. So, let's see if I've got this down correctly. There was this giant round camembert floating through the sky. I didn't say it was a cheese, I pointed out acidly.
Like a cheese box,
Marcia reminded him. And it was too. A stout policeman in his shirt sleeves came and stood by the sergeant. He fixed us with a serious frown. Are you sure it was a camembert? It could have been a gorgonzola. Or cheddar, suggested a young constable, but the sergeant shook his head. No, Wouldn't have been cheddar. That's more of a wedge shape. Honestly, this attempt at humour was my dad's level. You don't believe us, do you? I asked. No, we don't. And you're not even going to ask around to see if anyone else saw what we saw? No, but I'll tell you what I am going to do. Telephone our parents, sighed Marcia. The young constable grinned. She can read your thoughts, sir. Spooky. 10 minutes later, our parents turned up, all three of them. I hadn't realised that Marcia lived with her mum. Her dad was somewhere else. I'll tell you later. Don't rush me. So imagine the little scene that now followed. Imagine your parents turning up at the police station in the middle of the night to collect you. All this time they thought you were safe and sound in bed, fast asleep, and now they discover that you've been roaming the streets after midnight with a girl. You know those English exercises you do at school sometimes, where you have to choose the right word to complete the sentence? Well, try this one. Your parents discover that you have been roaming the streets after midnight in the company of a girl. Are they angry, furious, ballistic, raging, explosive, going nuclear, volcanic, delighted, happy, cheerful, or laughing? I guess you'd probably choose the same as me. Every one of those words except for the last four. However, that only describes my very predictable parents. What I found odd, as I was being dragged away to my 100-year jail sentence at home, was Marcia's mum. She didn't seem surprised at all. She sort of sighed and apologised to the police for wasting their time. She gave me a strange look and asked Marcia if she'd been out stargazing again. Marcia nodded and winked across at me. That was the last time I saw her that night. In the car going home, I was subjected to the kind of questioning that spies are put through in order to extract top-secret information from them, and then finally Mum and Dad got on to the big stuff. This has to stop, Robert. There was a UFO, I insisted. The Vauxhall are aliens. Stop it at once. You are living in a fantasy world. You spend far too much time worrying about things that can never happen. Not another word. That's enough. We're fed up to the back teeth with all of this. Go to bed and stay there. I went up to my room and stood at the window, gazing across the street. OK, Vauxhall, I thought. You win for the time being, but I'm coming back and I won't be alone. I shall have Marcia with me. Somehow I didn't think the aliens would be terribly scared, but I went to bed feeling a bit better.